From the battlefield to the cage, this is the fight after.
Beautiful.
I'm Danny Alvarez. I'm an amateur mixed martial artist fighter out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, from Black Lion Jiu-Jitsu Academy. So honestly, it was kind of like back in 2020 on my second deployment is when I kind of started like really tapping into watching like the UFC, for example, and everything. And I was thinking to myself like, man, this would be pretty cool to kind of, get into and follow and see what it's all about. So then I got out, and then I spent like a year, maybe like a year and a half, just kind of like figuring out what I'm gonna do and figuring out like just finding myself and like what my hobbies are now that I'm out of the Marine Corps. And my brother and I, we were doing boxing at first. We were training boxing, and then we were just like, fuck it, like let's try and go see what this Black Lion Jiu-Jitsu Academy is all about, because we had heard of Jamal Hill being in the UFC, and he's training out of there, and that's a place in Grand Rapids. And we lived here our whole life. We know this whole city like the back of our hand. So came and checked it out one day. Came and checked out a class, and did a class, and was like, man, this is pretty crazy. This is pretty cool. Like, I like the feeling of hitting and getting hit, like the adrenaline rush, and then like just meeting the people was pretty solid. So once I got like into the groove of that, I kind of just decided like, okay, for X amount of time, however long, I'm gonna pursue this and just have fun while doing it. I had discovered back in like middle school a lot more about the Marine Corps. It initially started with my brothers. They enlisted in the Marine Corps, and they went through boot camp, and they went through their MOS schools and everything like that. And I was like, damn, that's pretty badass. So then I wanted to do it initially just because they were doing it. And then like I tapped into the research. I started watching mad YouTube videos, kind of just went and hung around recruiters in a recruiting station, and then really got like the feel for what it was like to be in there. And I really grew close to like the structure, the organization, the discipline, and just like what it is to truly live a hard life, because in a lot of my personal perspective, I felt like my life, it wasn't hard per se. We had struggle moments like anyone does, but like to face some serious adversity was like something that I had desired. I knew like if I knew what it was like to live a life of adversity and hardship, like it would help me appreciate a lot more of life itself, like the good parts of life, and that it would like just help me shape and mold into the man that I haven't always envisioned myself being. So then like I enlisted, went to boot camp, graduated the #1 Marine out of my entire company. Mind you, that's like 900 Marines. And then became an 0311 infantry rifleman, 2-7 Rock. And just went on, did my time in the Marine Corps, went on 2 combat deployments to Iraq back to back from 2017, 2018, and 2019 and 2020. So it's really watered down. But we do a lot of grappling, a lot of rolling. We did some sparring every now and then, but they have like that kind of stuff. They call it McNAP. It's like Marine Corps martial arts program. And they have like a belt system themselves. It goes tan, green, blue, tan, gray, green, brown, and black. So 5 belt tier system. And you just learn a lot of cool stuff. Like you learn like unarmed combat and armed combat. So it was pretty cool. Again, it was like more so formatted to military style, but you did a lot of like grappling. We did a lot of wrestling and like rolling, and we did some sparring every now and then, and I thought that was pretty dope. So I kind of had that to go off of, like just like the experience of rolling and grappling with people, and just like again, just like that kind of like that intimate violence, like it's one thing to like know how to like smoke a fool, but it's like another to like be completely unarmed and still be able to take somebody out. Like the two worlds are the same yet different, so So the good part of the Marine Corps that I loved so much was just like you got paid to just hang out with your boys, like shoot free ammo, like be in shitty ass conditions, like you're just doing just shit that like nobody will ever do in their life. Like it's like something I try and keep humble about, but like it's the truth of the fact is I've done way more in just 4 years than anybody will ever do in their entire life. You know, well, not anybody, but like the majority of people, you know, and I take a lot of pride in that. Like that truly means a lot to me because there's been days where I've like have just ate maybe like once, twice a day, have rucked like fucking tens of miles, you know, just nonstop, doing it at night, sleeping in fucking trenches, digging your own trenches, getting gassed, uh, like watching some people like heat casualty, just how real it is in the moment, you know. But the good part, again, truly is just hanging out with your boys and shooting just guns all day. You're shooting all kinds of guns all day with ammo you don't have to pay for, like actually shooting, you know. Like we do a lot, like we did what I thought was dope was like a lot of the urban training, you know, clearing houses, learning how to clear houses, doing live shoots. Like that shit was pretty badass. I'd say a bad thing, honestly, primarily the reason why I got out, and you know, when I look back on it, sometimes I wish I hadn't got out, but it is what it is, you know. It's God's plan for me. But a lot of the leadership was very selfish. They were the kind of people to throw you under the bus in order to promote their own careers. So it was like seeing that people are really like that, and then just seeing like power hungry people, you know, people you could tell like just had a rough come up in life. Like now they get into the military and they get this power, and now they're just like going crazy and super delusional about it. Like that stuff is very off-putting, and it was just something I didn't want to be a part of. I felt myself kind of slipping into that a little bit, even at just the ranks that I was, because most of the time, you know, I went from a lance corporal to a corporal to a sergeant, and I was just like, not to brag, but I was really good at what I did, and I got put in a lot of leadership positions, you know, like a team leader and a squad leader, and it was I felt myself, a part of myself slipping into that. And when I realized that, it was like, man, I can't do this. Like I don't even know who I am anymore. I feel like I'm just Sergeant Alvarez, you know, or Corporal Alvarez. Like I don't know who David or Danny is, you know. Like that kind of hurt. So I was just like, I'm gonna do my time and just get out and find myself again. So the fight and getting in the cage. Oh man. I've watched a lot of my teammates start debuting. I remember specifically one fight, one cage night, and I believe it was 2023. It was like March. You know, we had Jace, we had Josiah, Keaton, we had them guys all get in the cage together, and like just seeing them walk out, seeing them scrap, seeing like Josiah's crazy knockout, seeing Keaton put the smoke on a fool, like that was pretty dope. And then like Jameson's fight too, you know, he only started like a couple months prior to his debut, and he went out there and did his thing. And you know, just seeing all my teammates, all my friends like really get in there and put their lives on the line essentially, you know, in such an intimate, violent sport, is like, if I can go and do the shit that I did in the Marine Corps, there ain't no fucking reason why I can't step in the cage either, you know? So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna get ready. I've been training for a minute, you know. At that point, it had already been like a year and a half, 2 years. It's like, man, why can't I do this shit? You know, regardless of the outcome, why can't I step in there, you know? There ain't no reason for me to not, you know? I ain't got nothing going on. At that time, I wasn't in school. At that time, I didn't have a job. I was just being a couch potato who comes and trains. So I was like, fuck it, let's go do this thing, you know, let's go ride. So I just started preparing and then made my debut September of 2023. Well, okay, my bad. To be fair, my last fight was a no contest. I got my eye stabbed out by my opponent. I guess I learned in that fight that like, that was like, mind you, that was 16 seconds. Like the fight didn't even start, and took a switch kick and then an open jab straight to my eye. So I guess I learned that some people need to learn how to keep their hands closed when they're throwing their hits. But the fight before that, I had a split decision loss, and that fight was really meaningful to me because that was like my second fight was really where like found I didn't find myself entirely, but I also did find myself. Like I found what it means to like be in the heat of the moment with somebody who's obviously trying to take your head off and win, but it's like you realize that you have 9 minutes. You just have 9 minutes. Like life was going before that, and life is literally going to continue after that. Like you're still going to be the exact same person with the exact same goals and mindset. You know, you're just still going to be the same person after you get out that cage. In a lot of ways, you know, you might change in one fight, depending on how everything goes. But that was a really good fight. I tapped into like harnessing all the nerves and all the energy that was in that moment and the uncertainty. It's like, you know what? I accept whatever happens. I've already, like my first fight was really tough. It was a really tough loss. And I learned a lot from that one too, you know. These fights have been very humbling and have been pretty much like an ego death, you know, like it's, you know, like I don't have any pride. I don't have any ego. I take accountability. I try to take accountability for who I am and the choices that I make and the mistakes I make. And I'm always just simply a student of the game. Like, it's important to always be a student of the game, no matter how high up you get, you know, because you have these moments, you know, you have these moments where things don't go your way and you take these losses, and some of them might be harder than others. And it's just something I keep in mind. You know, it reminded me that I'm still a student of the game, but that doesn't mean I'm still a man, like still performing, and that I don't have the capabilities to perform, because I do. And I went out there and I showed it, and that felt really nice, you know, regardless of the wins or losses. Like I had a good ass time. It was a good ass time going toe to toe with somebody. Like my second fight with my homie Brent Lim, we stood and banged the entire time. No, like not a single takedown. No, like barely any clinching, just straight throwing hands, knees, elbows, and kicks. Like both of us refused to go for any grappling and clinching, and thought that was dope. Like I'm like, okay, now I know what it's like. Now I know what it's like to get hit multiple times and still be able to stand there like, okay, like I'm good, you know? So yeah. The best advice that I can give people getting into the fight game, honestly, is just to like enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey, and always remember, like, no matter what position you are, whether you're just starting off or whether you're in the UFC, you're always a student of the game. You should always strive to learn. You should always strive to maintain, to retain. Nobody is too good. Nobody's too good to learn anything, you know? Nobody is too good to tap back into what got them to that position. I feel like that's very important, because you see a lot of this game now is based off of building your hype up and building clout and doing all this like social media stuff with this day and age in society. And to me, like, for example, for this fight, I really tried my hardest to not promote it that much. Like I really wanted to just focus on like the fact that I've been cooking in the gym since last August, since my last fight, and I've been in the camp since March. So what matters to me is just being able to perform, being able to still be a student, but still being able to execute, you know? So just remain humble, remind yourself that you're always a student no matter how far you are, and then just like enjoy the journey and be a good dude, you know? If you're with a team, you got to rely on your team. Your team helps you get ready, and you help your team get ready. Like, I think that's so important to me. You know, I always try my best to be there for everybody, even like outside of training. You know, I go and hang out with some of my guys. We go and watch UFC. We have UFC fight nights. We go and see other people fight. That stuff matters to me. Camaraderie matters to me in a world where everyone is trying so hard to be so damn cool. So damn cool and so nonchalant. Like, that shit's fucking lame, if you want me to be completely honest. Be yourself. Be yourself in this game. This game is an art. It's a science and an art, and how you apply it entirely matters, up to you and what you learn, you know? So it's a good way of expressing yourself. It's a very solid, fundamental way of expressing yourself, you know? So everyone has their own ways, but my best is to just be yourself, you know? So that would be the advice that I would give to anyone, young or old, trying to get into this game, you know? Because if you're starting off like as an amateur, dude, it's never too late to at least try and get in the cage and see what it's like. If you have that growing, itching desire, take a fucking chance, because you never know. You never know until you try. All right, so what is my end goal for MMA and fighting? You know, to be honest with you, man, again, it's something I pondered for a minute. It's like, I don't really know. I'm just trying to get as far as I can. You know, I've been working so fucking hard, and I've been busting my ass with my diet, my training, my recovery. I want to go in there and perform. I want to go in there and perform every single time I do get into a camp and do take a fight. And of course, the end goal is always winning. But I take it step by step. I take it fight by fight, you know? Like, again, because there's always much to learn. But, like, the end goal for me, of course, like anybody else who's trying to fight for as long as they can, is to go pro and then try and make it to the UFC. You know, but lately I've accepted that, like, that might not be possible, and I'm okay with that. I'm honestly totally cool with that, and that's why I think now I can just enjoy the journey and just get as far as I can get. I think that's the end goal for me, is to get as far as I can get, to fight as much as my body is capable of fighting. I got a lot of stuff going on in my life with trying to build a culinary arts career. Like, that's something that I've discovered that's like my true passion, that I love doing genuinely. So balancing those two things is becoming a lot more complex by the day, but you know, I'm still going to be in here training. Regardless, I'm still going to be in here training, learning and growing, and I'm going to take my teachings in here and apply it to cooking, just like I can apply different aspects of cooking to being in here. You know, just try and make it as far as I can, and just always remind myself to have fun along the way, because I think the journey is what matters the most to me. And just learning and discovering myself more and more every single day is a goal for me with all of this, you know. Like, I want to walk away still healthy, still my brain intact, but like, I've also learned what it's like to truly face like certain hardships and adversities from this. Like, you know, I'm hungry as fuck, thirsty as hell. Now I will appreciate what it means to be fueled and healthy, and what it actually genuinely, what kind of foods I genuinely have to eat in order to truly feel that way, and what kind of hydration I have to be on. So that's kind of where I'm at. All right. So again, it was nice talking to you all. I'm Danny Alvarez. I'm an amateur mixed martial arts fighter fighting out of Black Line Jiu-Jitsu Academy in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Shout out to Cool Connect. You know, it's cool to stay connected.